Welcome to Amazing Food and Drink. Today we're with Arun Kapil, owner of Green Saffron Spice, an award-winning family business based in Cork. So welcome to Amazing Food and Drink, Arun.
Thank you very much, Colin. Lovely to be here. Brilliant to be asked to be here. Thanks so much.
I'm delighted to have your company. So tell us a bit about yourself, your background and your company, Arun.
Yeah, so spices. We're an Irish spice company, which in itself kind of sounds kind of bizarre.
Sounds Irish?
Yeah, well, there we are. It's very Irish. Of course it is, Colin. Absolutely. No, but there is a history actually with spice down in Cork, trading back in the 1400s, the Huguenots. But no, me, I came to Ireland in 2004. I was in the music industry in London. I formed my first record label at the age of 18. I was the person that actually was the first person to take DJs out the field and in the studio.
Amazing. Very good.
Well, the younger people probably have never heard of an acid rave, but that's,
I've heard of an acid rave.
Well, there we are.
Brilliant. We're telling our age.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where my life started, and got involved in that, and was also involved in the restaurant scene in London to support my record label. Anyway, long and short of it is, come the age of 30, 34, I knew that I needed to sort of change my head a little, and to bring myself back down to earth, and not to think I was quite as grand as I thought I was when you're young, all that kind of stuff. So
there's nothing wrone with that, Arun. Nothing wrong with that.
I had a lovely time, but my body starts to realize that my lovely time needed to be balanced a little.
Toned down a little, yeah.
Toned down a little, yeah. So, of course, I went to Ireland because that's the place to go to toe down, isn't it? No, a friend had done the cookery course down there in Ballymaloe, and he's now doing so well for himself in the food world and bits and pieces. And I thought I was looking for something to do. I finally managed to get myself out of the industry. January 2004. So anyway, I jumped on a plane, went over there. I've never heard of Darina. I'd never heard of Ballymaloe. I knew that my birthday was the 17th of March, so that was my connection with Ireland.
What a day to be born!
You see, so everywhere I've had a birthday, there's always somebody happy and having a party. Because the Irish are everywhere, right? So
there's tens of millions of diaspora all over the world.
Well, there we are. So I've had a fabulous upbringing from that regard. No, so I went to do this cookery course, and I absolutely I fell in love with the place. I fell in love with where I was at Ballymaloe. I fell in love with the whole ethos of the place and just learning about, my gosh, all we would talk about was food. We were there cooking food. We're talking about food. We're demonstrating food, talking to cooks, talking to food writers, talking to chefs, talking to food producers. It was a phenomenal place. And I was just like blown away with the whole, to be honest, my head needed to be re-enlivened. And I had grown up, my father was a Hindu doctor, was an Indian doctor. My mum was a nurse, and they met in the 60s. So you can imagine, Rivers of Blood, Enoch Powell, all that kind of stuff. And so we grew up really as a tight family. I have an elder brother and a younger brother in Scunthorpe. So Dad was a general practitioner there, and real loving, liberal upbringing, but because we needed to give the love to ourselves sort of thing, and make sure that we couldn't be harmed because of any funny thoughts that might be flying around.
Absolutely. I'm sure it was difficult times then.
Well, I'm sure more so for my mum and dad, we saw a little bit of bits and pieces, but that sort of stuff, we were brought up not to see anything other than love, to be honest.
Great
and
boy.
My father's proposition was he wanted to send us out into the world with a head full of education and a heart full of love. That was
very nice. I like it. I like it.
So that's the upbringing we had. It was phenomenal. My elder brother, my younger brother, the roughs, the tumbles, going to Wales for every year for our summer holidays, and anyway, all this kind of stuff. So that's really got me immersed into food culture, because Mum, coming from this working class Yorkshire background, everything was homemade, and everything was all about her boys and her husband. And so we were so fortunate with the food that Mum used to cook from scratch all the time for us. And then the phenomenal times coming home from junior school, and there'll be all these sort of bowls of lentils and chickpeas and soaking around the kitchen. Only quite a small kitchen. And then later on that afternoon, we knew what would be happening. Dad would get out his little tins of these Raja, these brightly coloured different tins, and start cooking and experimenting. Everything in my memory, everything going everywhere. Clearly, I don't.
It's like a science project.
Well, do you know what I mean? And I'm sure that wasn't actually the case, because looking back, it's probably a romantic image, but I'm sure Mum had it. But anyway, I do remember all the various cooking that Dad used to do, and fantastic food. And then in the evenings, after having done this extravaganza of 2 days when tin chickpeas and things didn't exist, all these exotic looking people with their suits drinking Johnny Walker Black Label and these ladies in saris, and I was like, wow, you know, ushered up to bed. So it was a fabulous upbringing, and if we weren't involved with mum and baking, or if I wasn't there with her baking, or with dad trying to learn about spices and bits and pieces, then we were making little models out of Andrex tubes and cornflake boxes, and you know, so it was that kind of environment. It was that kind of environment, and we were so fortunate, I believe, being half Indian and being both Indian and English. We used to go to India to see our family.
Beautiful.
Can you imagine in the 70s? It was just.
It's exotic.
My gosh, isn't it?
We went to Donegal for holidays. You're going to India.
What? Don't get me wrong. We went to Anglesey, but on the odd occasion, we did manage to save a few pennies and get ourselves on the odd plane over to India. And then I just look. Even my now wife, my Irish wife, says to me, my wife, that is my Indian wife. Yeah, no. My wife is Irish. She would always say that when she sees me in India, I just have the biggest beam on my face, and I think.
You feel at home there, do you? Do you feel at home there?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Do you know? But actually, yes, I do. It's a quick answer. But I remember, I'm flipping all over the place with my timeline here.
You're fine. You're fine.
Going back to being in Ireland, I remember it's a connection. There is a connection. I remember after having been there for a year, because I did the cookery course, and of course I was very fortunate. I got a distinction, and then they took me on to into the kitchen at Ballymaloe House, and I'd never had a job before, not working for
a proper job.
Do you know what I mean? Working for someone else was my first job at the age of 34. There I was, sharing a room in a damp cottage with another guy at the age of 34 that I hadn't done since the age of being at school. And I was like, flip. And so it really, the whole environment and experience of the Ballymaloe course, and then living in a house with like younger guys again, was just a phenomenal thing. It was a leveler. It's what I really needed.
And how long did the course last?
So I did the 3-month course.
Okay.
So whereby you're kind of milking cows in the morning, and I was then you're doing cooking practicals during the day, and then demos in the afternoon. And I was one of the guys that actually used to go each evening to the house for free, just because I wanted to be in a commercial kitchen environment and learn about it. Brilliant. But no, the connection I was trying to make to mum, and saying being at home in India, was mum said to me after having been there for a year that she hadn't seen me so happy. And she said, Aaron, the Irish really have taken to you, haven't they? I said, Mum, I think they have. You know, I feel brilliant here. So
it's not a cliche what to say about us, Aaron.
No, do you know what? I sound like I'm full of cliches, don't I? No, unfortunately, and I don't want to over romanticize my life, but I've always kind of followed my heart rather than my head. My accountant might tell you the same thing, but anyway. That's what I've kind of done, and I think that was like I was trying to give an impression of the family life that we were brought up in, that kind of nurtured that spirit, which we will probably get to at some point during this conversation about entrepreneurism, or what all those funny words are for just getting some work done, basically. But anyway, that's it was a phenomenal upbringing. But what really changed everything for me was going to Ireland, relocating to Ireland.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And after then the course at Ballymaloe, what made you go into business in the spice industry? I know you have your background there, obviously, with your father, but what was the jump? Maybe would the natural progression not have been a chef, or what?
Well, you know, Colin, I often wonder about that myself. And again, it comes back to what I've just mentioned, which is kind of always kind of following my heart. Well, there I was working in Ballymaloe kitchens, chopping vegetables, not understanding what the heck everyone was saying to me, because in Cork.
Because they're from Cork?
Correct. But they're chefs in Cork in a clattery environment. So they all just thought I was either really stupid or just a really happy guy, because I would just sort of nod politely and carry on chopping my vegetables. But anyway, so I was in the kitchen there, and I then started to really miss the sort of senses of home and the tastes of home and the flavors of home and all those sort of bits and pieces. And clearly, being in the industry I was in, I was able to travel around a lot, and I'd experienced an awful lot of cooking. So I began to miss that, and more so spice. So someone said to me, they're going to start a farmer's market, a friend Rupert, who's Doreena's son-in-law, actually, Doreen Allen. And would you like to do something? I said, no, I'm fine, Rupert. I'm happy here in my kitchen. Anyway, a friend, she had some jams and bits and pieces. They said, oh, Aaron, I'm going to be selling some jams. Why don't you think of something to do? And I'd started, like I said, to have missed the flavors of home. And I thought, actually, I wonder if I could try blending some spices, like as you see my Taijis and my Tauji, but my aunts and uncles, sorry, in India, and
Yeah.
like I've seen my father. And I thought, okay, well, I gave Dad a call, and Dad put a call into a cousin in India, and into India, and yeah, I was put in touch with a cousin, and I remember received a first little 15-kilo package of spices from India, and I used to grind those little spices, put them into a little coffee grinder with 2 teaspoons or whatever, and I then had little sachets and developed recipes. So that's really how Green Saffron started. I started in farmers markets. I was earning 183 euros a week as a chef, paying 90 quid in rent.
Gee,
So I had no money, and I was so fortunate to get these spices sent from my family for free, 15 kilos. So we do a double shift, grind the little spices into a packet, develop recipes, and then my now wife, Olive, who also I met at Ballymaloe, she would then come and help me. And so we there were at midnight with our cups of tea and our teaspoons. And I remember, sorry, I will get to the point in a minute. I remember we had a bit of a to-do, an argument sort of thing, because Oliver bought...
what? An argument with your wife? I can't believe it.
Well, exactly. Unheard of, I think, isn't it?
That doesn't happen in our house,
No,
I tell you.
no, of course it doesn't. No one. It's just mine. I know it is. Yeah. She had spent what was it? €4.50 something, €4.55 on 2 coloured pens, a glittery green and a glittery red pen. And we're going, darling, how can you afford that? We can't afford that. And we're writing because she wanted to make our labels look a bit more attractive. You know, that we're handwriting. Anyway,
She's a good marketer.
Well, exactly. She is, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So we got over ourselves, and I used to take these sachets, say 10 sachets a week, to the farmer's market and be there. So there'd be my friend with her jams, and there'd be me. So we were sugar and spice. And if I sold 1 sachet a week, I'd be like, yeah, excellent.
And how much were you selling them for?
€3.50. So they weren't cheap. It was 40 grams of spice, and I used to print out a recipe because I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it properly. So I've just done this course where I've spent far too much money learning about sourcing the best, working with the best, being the best in food, you know, offering the best. So there I was. I'd been going backwards and forwards to India. I had a love of spice. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. I absolutely adore spice. And again, jumping forward, I always now say that Western cooking tends to be monochrome in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Black pepper and a rare, beautiful green herbs. And don't get me wrong, amazing, beautiful dishes. But I see spices as colors. And if you can capture the essence of those color on your palate, then isn't that going to make things more interesting? And shouldn't food be interesting? And shouldn't it be nutritious and healthy? So if it can be interesting and you can make a delicious, healthy meal, then surely that's why we're cooking. We're cooking those that we want to nurture and love. So let's capture that. So that was my theory in life. How can I capture that color in a packet and bring it to other people? Because I feel and still to this day feel so fortunate that I'm able to avail of this most amazing natural raw material spice that adds such a beautiful flavor with nuance, with subtlety. Why did I try and bring it to everyone else?
Brilliant. Well, I like your idea. And tell me, do you know that you said I mentioned the recipes there? So did people buy into the recipe along with the spice, or did you have to do something different?
Well, no, Colin, you see, absolutely correct. Because then my brain started to wake back up, having had a bit of a sabbatical for about a year at this stage. And you start to think, well, if I'm going to do this, even in my little small way, I need to add value at every single control point.
Yeah.
So there we are. I'm getting spices from India. So they're fresh and direct from India. Then I thought, okay, well, there's no point in me grinding these spices and making one of my favorite dishes, duli kismis, because everyone would be going, duli what, mate?
Yeah.
You know, because they were asking me already, is that strong? Is that strong? And I didn't have a clue what they meant, but they meant hot, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's spicy, whatever.
You know, so there I was. So I thought, well, there's no point in doing that. So what I should do is give it blends like Rogan Josh, Tikka, Jalfrezi, Korma. Because at least there was one restaurant, I think, in Cork at the time that was serving Indian food.
Yeah.
And, clearly people travel. So they would know those names. So that's how it started. So I then went and I spoke to my Taijis again and started to get recipes from them, vegetarian recipes. And although they're not meat eaters, they would put me in touch with their meat eater friends. Those people.
Yeah.
And I was learning recipes through family. So then would adapt those recipes in a kitchen. So I had spices, I was already adding, without realizing it, my own little tweaks
Twist.
to spice blends, adding the recipe to go with the fresh spice, with the tweaked recipe blends, so that when I went to market, people would have half a chance. If they're going to spend their hard-earned money on me, I still have the same theory. If someone's going to go out and spend their money on something I'm offering, it has to be the best, and it has to flip and work, because you don't expect someone to go and work every day just to come and make a, I'm selling them a falsehood,
Yeah.
So I wanted it to work and all these sort of bits and pieces. So they recognized the name, the recipe starts to work, and basically what starts to happen in Cork is the mother, the uncle, the brother, the sister, the aunt, they all start to talk, which is so beautiful about Ireland.
We have a great oral tradition in Ireland.
Oh, it's just the best, do you know?
So literally word of mouth.
It literally and there I was in London thinking I'm such a clever marketeer talking about guerrilla marketing, and it's like, well, it was on my doorstep in Cork. I'm like, flip. And so more and more people started to say about this funny little Indian chap, not being naughty, but this funny little Indian chap wearing a pink sarong, talking 10 to the dozen like Del Boy. Go and check him out, because I made one of his curries and actually it's really quite nice. And that's how it started. That's
Brilliant.
how it started.
And tell me, did you ever think about doing some cooking with some of the spices at the market to maybe get the aromas? And
that was the next phase. You're right. Eventually down the road, let's say a couple of years, because I had no money, so I had to wait until we started to earn money.
Yeah.
We started to double our turnover year on year, which was fabulous. I got up to about 3 or 4 farmers markets within 2 years. I think I was at 5 farmers markets a week by myself within 3 years. And then what actually cracked it, just like you said there, Colin, is when I offered the dry spices with started to serve hot food. I called it sort of completing the circle, because we had the dry spice, we had the hot food, and we had tubs to take away.
Oh, very good.
So that really was the game changer. And then what happened in 2008, 2009, I did a Christmas pudding. And everyone at the market went, hang on, is it a curry pudding? What are you talking about? Because they only saw the Indian, but they'd forgotten maybe my English side.
Yeah.
And I'd always been into Christmas puddings. Mum, for a treat every Christmas, would buy, an Marks & Spencer one or something. Anyway, I came first in the whole of Ireland with this Christmas pudding that I developed.
Well, I can't wait to taste this.
What's that now?
I can't wait to taste this.
I tell you. Well, you see, because again, I was sourcing, the figs from Turkey. I was sourcing the sultanas. We're using local whiskey because I'm in whiskey country, right? And
brilliant. That's a question for later. I want to hear all that later. Absolutely brilliant.
So we did that. So that got me on people's radar. And then all of a sudden I had an opportunity to do a TV show. They gave me a little spot there because a friend that everyone was coming to the farmers markets. And one guy said, oh, do you want to try being on TV? And what I haven't mentioned is that when I was 11 and 12, I was in something called the National Youth Music Theatre.
Okay.
So my first ever paycheck was £25 sterling from the BBC, because I was on a show there when I was 11 years old or something.
Wow.
And yeah, so I was an actor in theory. Rather than nowadays, clearly they tend to be chefs going out becoming actors.
Yeah.
So I kind of done it in reverse. So yeah, that's how that happened, and that started to kick things off again, and we went on from there.
Brendan, you're stealing all my thunder here. I was going to ask you about the TV. I'll come to that in a wee second. And what I was going to ask you, you've actually answered it. What was your inspiration? But you've told me your inspiration has been your father and the spices, your mother's home cooking.
No, absolutely. And you know what? Without wanting to get too smolchy or deep for too long.
Go ahead. You're all right here.
Well, I know what I did in the music industry, and I know how we ran that business. And success is a wonderful thing. But I know how things should be done. And I said to myself, if I ever did anything again, it has to be done properly, with honor and with integrity, and it has to be involved the family and my heritage.
Good.
And also, when I was growing up in the 70s and the 80s, one might want to shun a certain side of you because you think it might be the not
easier for you.
So yeah. I wanted to focus on that. And like I keep saying, the main focus for me has always been and still is spice. I cannot believe the variety of flavor and wonderfulness that spice can bring to a dish, to a meal. And I just am so fortunate to be able to access it.
And your passion shines through. Maybe the line should be space is the variety of life rather than the other way around.
Correct. Do you know what, Colin? We're going to coin that phrase. Absolutely. No, but you're right. No. So what was the inspiration? The inspiration was manifold, but it was my family. It was my parents. It was my brothers. It was certainly my upbringing, and it was just my love of food. And then it turned out that apparently I have a bit of a skill that maybe others don't in terms of blending spices, and I do things in a slightly different way, and people seem to appreciate that. So
I also think that has a lot to do with your personality, because if your spices are like your personality, I can't wait to try them. Genuinely, I'm not being funny.
Well, you're very kind, but no, they certainly are. I get told they're very vibrant and they pop.
I'd guess so, Aaron. So tell me this, what's it like running such a diverse company on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, no, do you know, it's brilliant. And of course, it couldn't be done all by myself, although sometimes you have your moments. But no, I suppose skipping forward to where we are now, we are just getting onto phase 2 of our journey. It's been a phenomenal journey. Yes, it's been absolutely, every day is hard work. Every day is about being resilient. Every day is about pushing hard and just not giving up and not giving in and demanding the best of myself, of my staff, and of the product. So phase 2 is all about scalability. We kind of feel that we're a proven product now. So we now split ourselves into 3 categories: retail, ingredients, and commodities.
Okay.
Sounds very grand for such a small company, but starting with commodities, that is the raw material, the spice.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're working directly with the farms, directly with the sarpanches from day one, the heads of the villages, direct not only from the region but from the farm. That is something that is unique. And that is something that is now just starting to become in demand.
So are you now wholesaling the actual spices themselves?
We're just getting into that. Yeah, we have done, but now we're just getting in. We've done tonnage, but now we're getting into containers. Just this year, which is phenomenal.
Are you going throughout Ireland or Britain or both or continental Europe? Or...
We're going in through Rotterdam at the moment, and also in through Felixstowe, but let's see how long that one goes on for to supply the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the commodity piece. We then are involved in ingredients, which is whereby I'm a spice company, and I've associated with a German Austrian functionals, starches, breadcrumb and stuff. So once you add spice and functionals, you have a seasoning. Once you have a seasoning, you say hello to a meat company and blah, blah, blah. So we're vertically integrating our supply chain with Dawn Dun Beer, the biggest red meat company in Europe. Which is a phenomenal thing. So we sold just under 200 tons of seasoning last year into Dawn Dun Beer.
Wow.
Again, when I hear myself say this, I can't believe I've just told you, I've started with 2 sachets of 40 grams each, 35 grams
€3.50
with no money. Yeah. And the exciting phase for me personally as well is our brand. So we have, like I say, the brand, the ingredients, and the commodities. The brand is what is just coming into phase 2 of its journey. So fortunate that with the Board Beer Tesco program, we had the opportunity of getting onto the retail space in 2013. We've stayed there, and now we're about to hit the accelerator button with launching into the UK potentially. And we've got now a brand new proposition that we're going to be the first Indian brand ever to cross category. So not just ambient, like jars of sauce and spices, but to go into chilled convenience. We've just launched very successfully a range of fresh pots. And we also have a range of frozen meals ready to go.
And are they branded Green Saffron Spice?
Absolutely. My brand will always be, I won't ever work for anybody else other than my brand. So unless it's to do with Dawn Dun Beer.
Have they come north yet? Have they come this far north to Belfast yet?
No, it's been, like I say, it's been an arduous journey. But I don't want to say too much, but there's very good things happening this year, shall we say, Colin?
Really exciting, and I have to say, I'm going to give you an ovation here. Absolutely different class.
No,
really well done.
No, well, look, I've been fully supported by my wife, by my family, and clearly, I'm so fortunate to have started this business in Ireland, because without the support of the locals, and let's face it, the goodwill of those that were supplying me when I wasn't paying them, for initially when I started in the farmers markets, because of their belief and support, it's where we are today. Yeah.
Well, really good, and obviously as a proud Irishman, I'm so happy we were able to help you.
Thank you.
Good man.
Well, I'm an honorary Corkman. So.
So tell me this: what about the TV work? Are we going to have a TV show?
Well,
Apple TV.
Funny you should say that. Yes is the quick answer. And
Good man.
it's been in the pipeline for flipping ever. Look, I've been really fortunate. I got introduced to RTE, the Today Show there. Well, it's now called the Today Show.
Mhm.
I've done stuff on Channel 4. I've done something with Richard Corrigan there. I forget what it's called, the Kitchen program. I've appeared often on Sunday Brunch, the Channel 4 show. So
I usually watch it. I've never seen you. I'm going to watch it.
well, there we are. I haven't been on for a year or so, in all fairness, because we've been trying to keep things down on the down low.
Okay.
But no, there's something really quite special about to happen. I've teamed up with a company called ZTV, which many people over here won't have heard of.
No,
But
I haven't heard.
ZTV is like the third biggest TV company in the world. It's
Okay.
based in India and Dubai. So they are backing the project, and RTE are going to be the production company. So it's an Irish-Indian co-production.
Very exciting.
You couldn't flipping wish for more. So
Brilliant.
10 episodes, and it's the Irish Spicemen.
Oh my God. I can't wait. And when's the launch?
So, well, we're going to only start filming September, October.
Okay.
So I'd imagine, I don't know, is it going to be Q1, Q2, 2020?
Okay.
So
So it's very soon.
very soon. And I'm trying to get not get overly excited, because for me, it's a long way away. But yeah, I mean, how mad is that? My own flipping show.
Absolutely amazing. Like, if you think about where you've come from to where you are now, what a journey.
It's, but isn't that the cool thing about life? Do you know,
Yeah.
I've been helped by so many people, and I've tried to always keep a smile on my face, and to have the support, like I keep saying, of Olive is just phenomenal. Olive, my wife. It's there's a long way to go yet. I'm not there, but I am determined to get there. Here's something for you. There's a phrase that people use, a word that people use in the West called entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I've won these various awards being entrepreneur, this and that. And I don't really understand. I don't really understand what entrepreneur means, because there's a Punjabi word called jugaad.
What is it?
Jugaad.
Say it again, sorry.
Jugaad.
Jugaad. Okay.
Jugaad. So Jugaad. Jugaad. Jugaad is an intrinsic spirit that certainly I and Indians believe we all have, which is quite simple, Colin. It's a very Irish mentality. If there's a job to be done, just flip and get out there and get it done. You know? It's nice to call me an entrepreneur, but if I wasn't on the farmer's market, come hell or high water, rain or sun or shine, I wouldn't have any money. I couldn't pay my bills or my food or anything. So I didn't have a choice. It's, if you put yourself in a situation, just flip and get on and do it.
Yeah, so it's not this mythical entrepreneur word or this entrepreneurial spirit. It's just go and get it done.
Unfortunately, it's as simple as that. My father told me about having a vision and life. My mother taught me about hard work, and hopefully it's kind of coming together a little bit.
No, it really is. But I am so with you. There's no substitute for hard work, and actually nothing's ever going to be perfect. Just get out there and throw yourself into it.
Correct. Because how do you know flipping know unless you
what's happening now?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Now, see, once you've all that filming done, I'm going to have you up here to the studio in Belfast, and you're going to tell us all about it. And we'll have watched it at that stage, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about that and a bit of crack.
Would love to. Would love to.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so tell me this, Aaron. You're working with a lot of customers, okay? Probably increasingly more and more.
Yeah.
Do you think that your customers, their expectations have changed over the last number of years?
Oh, 100%.
Either for the better, for worse, or?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, there's two things I can talk about there. Like I say, we're working in the local community in India, working with the farmers, and we're also working in our local community. We still have our farmers market store.
Okay, good.
On a very basic level, on a consumer level, like I said already in the interview there, that people used to ask me, is that strong? Well, now people are wanting hot food. I started earning €7 a week. Well, thank gosh we earn a little bit more than €7 a week now. And that's only because I believe, particularly in Ireland, there is a more and more receptiveness towards our product. So I've seen a customer profile change from, it used to be how do I say, the slightly older person, the sort of 45 plus, but now it's dialed down for us certainly to 25 to 48.
Brilliant.
But the young people want to see what's going on in spice and want to experiment. So in encapsulating all that commentary, I believe that there is now a want for people to try spicy food from my perspective.
I absolutely love Indian food. Even the stuff that's probably not really Indian, like chicken tikka masala, which was anglicized, but I love it all.
It's spice. Do you know what? I don't give a monkeys about what everyone wants to call it. So long as people enjoying food should be, every meal, I believe, should be joyous, happy, and healthy. Why else the flip do we want to eat? Do you know? Why don't pop a pill or think you have to keep yourself on a diet for so long? Let's just equilibralize. Let's just, okay, you've had a bit of a blowout last week or yesterday. Well, take it a bit easier today.
Yeah.
You know? As simple as that. It's all about balance, I believe. And yeah, you know, like I was saying, the two customers, you're asking about what, how do I see things change? I think certainly on a consumer level that, but also the industry as well. I'm really fortunate. You may even, well, I'm sure you will know Queen's University.
Of course, yes.
I've been introduced to a phenomenal chap called Professor Chris Elliott,
Okay.
who is
I've heard the name actually, yeah.
an amazing chap. I mean, my God, we just actually, we went over to India together. I took him to India. I'm actually working with Queen's University now as one of their partners on one of their projects. They want to prove the provenance and they want to help stop fraud in the food supply chain.
Okay.
Based around herbs and spices. And that's a mission of mine as well.
So it's a bit like Manuka honey, which, you know, it's not actually Manuka honey, that type of idea.
That type of idea, but with herbs and spices.
Yeah.
Because why did I even start my spice company? For many reasons, like I've explained, but another one, because I didn't want the wool to be pulled over people's eyes. That isn't necessarily a curry. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is.
Okay.
You know?
Brilliant.
Don't, because people are putting so much nonsense in. So now the progression that was there in the farmers markets have the opportunity with someone amazing like Professor Chris Elliott to actually prove the provenance, to prove the viability and the provenance, the traceability of spices. I can't believe what I'm up to.
But I'm beginning to wonder, you're reading my script here. My next question is, how important is provenance, sustainability, organic produce to your company?
It means absolutely everything to me. Like I say, the reason and this is actually something which is a very live matter at the moment. I'm actually presenting to a seasoning company in a couple of weeks' time. Like I say, in the bigger boys world, 2020, they want their supply chains collapsed because they want more linear line of sight from end product to producer.
Okay.
And by 2025, they want that 100% provenance. So brilliant. What we have been doing at Green Saffron from day one is actually where the industry has been going and is absolutely definitely going. So yeah, to me, it's everything. When I used to talk about fresh spice, the first interview I ever did was with Sheila Dillon on Radio 4 and the BBC. And she asked me, what do you mean by fresh spice? And I always meant about vibrant flavor and proper spice as it should be, as if it's just out the field.
Yeah.
And the industrial sort of definition that I've applied to fresh spice now is people think grinding it means fresh. No, it doesn't. That's too easy. Mm-hmm. Grinding it fresh spice means going back to the farm, understanding how it was cultivated, what was the terroir, how was it harvested, how was it stored, how was it processed, and how did it get on that plate?
So it's the journey from start to finish, basically.
Yeah. Why is there so much focus put on cocoa beans, on coffee beans, on chicken, and tomato, as there should be? All the beautiful produce, but why not spice? Spice is the fundament of flavor.
Absolutely.
It's natural flavor. So why do we dismiss spice? So this was the mission that I started 10 years ago. And like I keep reiterating, because we are talking about now provenance and traceability.
Yeah, of course.
To come across someone like Chris Elliott, who is a world's leading global expert, who has started the Institution of Global Food Safety, who has this budget with the Queen's University to make sure that food is not adulterated or supply chain is not adulterated. I was like, oh my God.
I think I might be talking to Chris very soon.
Please tell him for me.
You're going to do the intro?
No, well, exactly. I would love to. He's a phenomenal chap, and I absolutely respect him, and I'm so pleased that my God, for him, with the people that he works with and where he works, for him to even consider me when he did, I was just thrilled. And yeah, to have that, and I suppose, look, I shouldn't be over too sycophantic about it. There is a common vision here. He has a mission, I have a mission. It just so happens those missions are very, very similar.
I'm sure he's delighted to have your acquaintance.
Gosh, I don't know, but hopefully, yeah.
You're getting all shy now.
No.
So tell me this, we know that the spices obviously come from India, and you know it's obviously the provenance, traceability, everything's important. Is Irish produce pivotal in what you do as well?
100%. No, my father always used to say to us, we were living in Britain, okay, in Scunthorpe, buy British.
Yeah.
Aaron, you're not in India. We're not in India. yes, I'm Indian, darling, but we're here in somebody else's country, and we need to be honourable to that country.
Okay.
So, for instance, when I went to Ireland initially, not allowed to borrow money because until I have something to offer the nation, why should I expect anything? So,
Very honourable and admirable, I have to say.
it's the way that we were brought up, and it's
Yeah.
what I believe to be. It's just my belief. I'm not suggesting everyone needs to. It's my belief, and my premise from day one is I wasn't on that farmer's market stall. Okay, some people may have taken exception initially. Well, hang on, this is an Irish farmer's market stall, and you're selling spices with an English accent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, no. What I'm trying to offer here is I'm your next generation. I'm not your yogurts, your meat, your cheese.
Yeah.
I'm an Irish spice company.
Enhancing Irish produce.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You can't make my meal without local produce.
Absolutely.
That was always the point. It's about adding nuance, adding embellishment. Like I've mentioned here, adding that sparkle, adding that color, that twist. Not necessarily every day, but every so often, why not? Just to keep things interesting. Do you know?
I love it. I have to say, I absolutely love the idea, and I can guarantee you that I will be trying your spices very, very soon.
I'll send you a little parcel up.
So, do you see the sort of Irish food and obviously the Indian spices, is that going to be your platform to take on the world?
100%. 100% straight away, not even a question. I was very fortunate. Myrtle Allen, who's sadly passed away recently, took me under her wing because when I just moved over, she was a game changer in my life. When I just started to work in the kitchen there in October in 2004, closes down generally in January, February. So I started to work on a local producer's guide. And so I really started to develop a relationship with her and start to understand from her directly about Irish producers and Irish produce. So again, that's where I started. And now look at this. Potentially my TV show is called The Irish Spiceman.
Absolutely brilliant. I love it.
The people that I'm so fortunate to mix with, the Ross Lewises, the Richard Corrigans, all these amazing chefs, what a position to be in. The Wade Murphys, everybody. Do you know what I mean?
You're name dropping.
Now, well, look, what I mean by that is I'm really fortunate to be able to talk to these lads because they love food. They're cooking with my spices. I love food, and I love the fact that I'm learning from them. So if we learn together, flip, it's just brilliant, isn't it?
It is absolutely amazing. So it's actually great to see that you're a very passionate mom, but you're passionate equally about your Indian spices and your Irish produce, which is amazing for our channel, for example, which is all about Irish produce.
Let's be very clear. I wouldn't be here had it not been for Ireland.
Yeah.
But my phrase is, it's Irish home, English heart, Indian heritage. So heritage, heart, and home. Because I'm fortunately, I'm the sort of guy I can't be promiscuous. I'm very loyal. There's the word. Yeah. And I know when my bread's buttered, and I know how fortunate I am to have been looked after so much as I was by Myrtle Allen and by the local people in Cork. And that's never going to go. And I must repay that, and it will get repaid.
Reciprocity. I like it. Reciprocity. Lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Well, Ireland's looked after me, and I want to bring something back to Ireland to make it proud of me. That's all.
But I'm going to tell you, this Irish man's very proud of you. Well done. Honestly, it's amazing. What a story. My jaws are sore smiling here. I'm not joking. It's amazing. It's really, really good.
Sorry. I know I can tend to talk too much. I know.
No, you definitely aren't talking too much. Tell me, what are you doing to market this lovely journey that you're on in this business? What strategy have you got in place?
So you see, back in my music days, so when we had no money when I started this company, it was all about PR. So I was everywhere, flinging myself all around the place, doing everything I possibly could. That's why I started doing little demonstrations in our little unit that we have now in Cork. Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted to be on TV. That's why I was making as many friends as possible in the journalist world. And clearly they wouldn't write about me if they didn't believe in the project.
Yeah.
And it's PR is where it started. Now there's a couple of pennies around, and don't get me wrong, we're quite the opposite of rich. Mm-hmm. But we've now very fortunate in the position that we've taken on the ex-marketing director of Patuk's, who might be considered
I've used their jars for a number of years. Yeah,
you don't need to use them anymore, Callum. But anyway,
they're gone now.
There we are. They're gone to you. Exactly. No, so we now have devised. Here we go. All the phrases are coming out now. But we have. My business model is now based around asset-light, strategic partnership-led, And part of that strategic partnership is the marketing team,
Okay.
and how we put an aggressive 5-year plan together. So whereby we want to be in Ireland and the UK initially, we want to roll out into Europe, stroke Australia, and 5-year to be in America.
Brilliant.
So yeah, we have quite an aggressive plan, but it's all about trying to grow, going back to phase 2 of our journey, try to grow up so that we become not a corporate entity. Could I ever be corporate? I don't think so. But the company must act like a big company. So we must have the various checks and balances, the various KPIs, the various organograms.
I think the phrase is think global, act local.
There you are. Do you know? And look, here I am working with the Dutch, with Maltese, with Indians, with French, and living in Ireland. And so we have a global network, not sounding too grand again, but we have a global network. And there is so much goodwill towards this brand, and very fortunate to me. So now I have to get on with it and make it work.
I had no better man for the job, I have no doubt. So in terms of Ireland and its food culture, have you seen it evolving? Has it evolved? Is it getting more?
Again, very much so. I think when I remember in Cork, I used to think that all the restaurants, they all seem to have gone to Ballymaloe because they're all so similar. It was all soda bread and jam, which is beautiful.
Yeah, but it was very samey.
And now I see an explosion of so many different, not only cultures, I know I keep going on about cross-cultural, but clearly that's in me anyway.
Of course.
So many wonderful things. One thing I noticed, one of many things I noticed when I first of all went to Ireland is I'd almost grown up in supermarket culture. You know, I was probably that person at a young age thinking well, that's not quite true because my mother, but thinking a chicken, I could have been led to believe that a chicken comes out of a plastic wrapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Essentially, that's where it was. But Ireland was never, in my mind, Ireland was never that. Ireland didn't really allow the conglomerates to come in and take over. So it still had these pockets of the local store, the local this. So Ireland has naturally had that.
Yeah.
You add on top of that the most amazing, fertile land that is the land of Ireland.
Yeah, the rain does that, Aaron, though.
Do you know what? My wife says that all the time. Aaron, darling, never complain about the rain. That's why it's so green. Right? Whatever about India, it's so green. Yeah. So, but no, you're right. Ireland is a phenomenal place for a food culture in general. North, south, east, west, wherever you want to talk about Ireland, people know about food.
I think we've really come on. Genuinely, people's tastes are more expansive. You know, people are traveled. You've talked about that. And we actually realize how good our produce is too. And when it's being enhanced with spices and things from all around the world, it's an amazing time to be in Irish food, I have to say.
I absolutely believe so. And not only, look, you had the proliferation of the Irish cheeses, winning all various awards and beating all the Irish cheeses. You have a proliferation of amazing Michelin-star restaurants or amazing restaurants that are springing up left, right and centre all over Ireland.
And loads of TV chefs, you know, on RTE and on BBC, across the world, in fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ireland has influenced the world culture in so many positive ways, and clearly you know a lot more about that than me, but, you know.
We punch above our weight, there's no doubt.
There we are. Well, there we are, not only in boxing, but in you know, poets and artists. And in the last sort of 50 years, really, people are starting to recognize the beauty of its produce, its food. And I want to help push that.
Brilliant. And here's the $6 million question. I'm will end on this. This has been amazing.
No.
What's the future for the food sector in Ireland? I mean, it's a big question, but what do you see on the horizon?
I see the trust that's out there globally about Irish food culture through projects such as Origin Green. What an amazing, unique, expansive program Origin Green is.
Yeah.
To be the first country to have a whole island sustainably producing food. Phenomenal. Do I think that I think clearly the dairy is always going to look after itself. Meat, because why wouldn't you have, it is the best meat in the world when you have the pasture that it has to graze on.
Yeah. But
is there a missed opportunity? I'd like to think there is. Because of this amazing fertile land and because of the way that Ireland works, I think that, and what is one of the food trends in Ireland, in the world, vegan vegetarianism, clearly growing.
Yeah.
In a minute. Why aren't we growing the most amazing vegetables, which we do, I know, but why isn't that a focus? So let's start to actually get back to the basics of basics. Yes, amazing meats, like no one could beat meats in Ireland. Amazing dairy, but is vegetables, and is there something there between the grains, the pulses, the vegetables? I don't know. I think there's something there, and I think that's where Ireland could be going
Yeah.
if it were to focus there.
It sounds like there's a massive opportunity.
I believe so.
Are you going to go into that space yourself?
Funny you should say that.
Well, I definitely think veganism and flexitarianism and vegetarianism is not a fad any longer. It's here to stay.
Absolutely. And that's the range that we've just launched into Fresh is vegan, vegetarian, 100% well, all of our products are 100% natural. There's no gluten and all these kind of things, good for you, healthy, low in fats and sugars and salt. But yeah, and our frozen range is also vegan, vegetarian. Yeah, no, but I'm very fortunate that the young lady I married is a farmer's daughter. So there's a bit of land there that could certainly do with some spices or some vegetables.
Yeah, you'll put that to good use, Darren. No doubt about that. Well, listen, I have to say, I am sure our viewers will absolutely love this. I am absolutely delighted to have you on, and we'll definitely see you again in Belfast when you've got the TV show over and done with. But well, honestly, really so much thanks. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but I love Belfast, and I'm really thrilled that you invited me to talk to you, and it's really good of you to call to ask me to talk. I'm thrilled to be involved. So thank you very much for
you are so welcome. I can genuinely tell you it was our pleasure, and I really hope that everyone has enjoyed Arun's story. It's a wonderful story, and hopefully we'll see the spices in our shops very soon. So Green Saffron Spice. And Arun, just before we go, actually, where can people contact you? Have you got a website? Are you on Facebook? And we'll put all the links underneath the video. Sorry, I'd forgotten to say that.
You know, absolutely. So we have a website. We have a good Facebook page, good followers. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're on all of those.
So they're all Green Saffron Spice?
Yeah, Green Saffron Spice, except I think typically one of them, I think it's Twitter is Green Saffron, but just generally at Green Saffron Spice. Yeah.
Okay. And the website, greensaffronspice.ie or .com?
.com.
Okay. Brilliant. Well, Arun, thank you so much. And I can't wait for our viewers to see this. So
thank you very much.
Speak again soon on Amazing Food and Drink TV.
Thank you for your time.